Hi, my name's Matt Widgery from FramedPlanet.com. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about the fact that I haven't been on this YouTube channel for about a year, why my intro has changed from mattwidgery.com to FramedPlanet.com, and an update on some of the things that I've been doing over the last 12 months. Because I've come out of a chrysalis and I'm in a better place creatively than I think ever been in my career, and I wanted to share some of that with you and explain to you some of the things that will be going on in the future. So, first of all, let's talk about that intro. Yeah, FramedPlanet.com. For avid viewers of the show, you may well remember that I had a podcast a little while ago called Framed Planet. And I had the URL, FramedPlanet.com, and the whole sort of emphasis of that was really as a photo news website. It was news, reviews, gear, tips and tricks, tutorials, that sort of stuff. And it was, in all fairness, it was something I bit off that was kind of more than I could chew. It turned out actually that I was writing kind of 3 to 5 articles on that thing every single day to populate the site with good and interesting content, to bring you guys things that were new and interesting in the field. And because I'm interested generally in photography and what's going on in the industry, there's just so much of it, as you'll know if you're followers of things like Petapixel, you'll know there's just a torrent of stuff that's coming through every day, whether that's new product launches that come out, different things like, monkeys being sued for copyright infringement or whatever it happens to be. There is always stuff going on, and it just became really difficult to be able to keep on top of everything. So I canned it for a little bit, but I kept the URL because FramedPlanet.com was a decent name for a website to connect it with photography. And so I kind of left it where it was, did nothing with it, stopped uploading it, and so on. And it was about that time, or not long after, that was the time when I got into a really sort of creative funk. And that's what I wanted to talk about really in this video, because I got into a creative funk not only with doing the YouTube videos, but also with my photography itself. And it was quite a difficult journey for me, and I wanted to share it with you because I think that there's something that there are some things that I took out of that period of my life which I wanted to share with you guys, and that I think might be helpful to hear, because all of us in the creative field, we go through these periods when we're just not, we don't feel inspired to go out with our cameras. We don't feel inspired to go and create new work. And like, that is such a difficult thing to get out of, particularly like when you're doing the YouTube channel as well. Like I love doing this channel because I love inspiring other people. I love teaching other people. I love the thing that really drives me as a photographer, that fire that I have inside me, is something that I like to share with all of you guys. And I know from the comments that I see on the videos that it's something that you guys appreciate. And so when I got into this creative funk and was feeling uninspired, feeling like nothing that I looked at felt like a photo opportunity that was, good enough, that I could, elevate my my skills with, that was interesting to me as a subject matter, I really, really struggled. And at that point, the YouTube channel really became just too much for me, because at the point when I wasn't inspired, I just couldn't inspire anybody else. Like, there was no way that I could sit and talk about things that weren't exciting me at the time. So I kind of went into this sort of chrysalis mode. And it was like the strangest period in my life to do this as well. Like last year, about this time last year, a little bit later, it was April last year, I bought a motorhome. It was a converted van with a sort of motorhome built into it. And I spent 4 months driving around Europe. It was the most amazing trip in my life. And the idea was I was taking photos and building up places that I could go and do photography workshops in different places around the world. Some of you will already know that I've been working very closely over the last few years with Chrissy Kusia of chrissysgreece.com, and have been doing photography workshops in Greece. So one of the ideas that I had was to do this trip around Europe, block out some time when I wasn't running any of the workshops, and sort of find other places that I could go and run workshops from. So France and Italy, Spain, Portugal, all over Europe, up into the Balkans and stuff. And but this trip, it coincided with this creative funk, and it was bloody brutal. Like, so the trip itself was amazing. Don't get me wrong. It was like there are so many deathbed memories from that trip. I mean, just crazy stories, which I'm sure we'll get to on this channel in time. But like, you know, being chased out of the Rambouillet forest by the French secret police. There was a naked man in Portugal shouting at the trees. There was so many cool things, just like crazy stories that happened in that, like, you know, period in my life that were just wild and unforgettable. But photographically, I really struggled. I really struggled, and there were a couple of good points in there. Like I did I shot some good stuff in Italy. I had a fashion shoot there, and I was pleased with some of the results there on Lake Garda. And there were one or two other shots, but like they were literally like single shots here and there that I took that I was happy with. But the majority, there were so many of these crazy places, beautiful places, amazing places, and I could hardly bring myself to bring my camera to my eye even, let alone take any shots. And that, like, there's as the trip wore on, like the pressure that built from that was amazing, because it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to do a trip like that, right? And to be in a position where I wasn't even feeling like I was getting good work was like, you know, it was really hard. And it wasn't like I wasn't taking any, like there were a few good shots, but literally a few, like very few. And I should have, you know, I wanted to have a book and an exhibition that came off the back of it. Like I wanted to shoot a lot, and I just didn't feel in a good place for it at all. And that really only changed towards the end of the trip, where about 3 months in, I was due to run a workshop on Crete at Chania in northern Crete. And going out there and teaching, that re-sparked in me some creativity that I hadn't found before. Maybe it was just the fact that because I had to go out every day and teach and shoot, it forced me to pick the camera up. It forced me to look at things like with a sort of back to basics view, because I was teaching again. And it shaped the way that I taught as well, which was really interesting. And it was quite insightful, the fact that the way that my teaching style changed in response to how I'd been shooting. And so the whole workshop became about, because I wasn't being inspired all the time. This is the thing, like I wasn't being inspired to go, oh, that's amazing, that's amazing, that's amazing, that's amazing, and just finding opportunities everywhere. I was struggling to find them. I was really struggling. And so the whole workshop then became about, like, shoot less, absorb more. Shoot less, absorb more. I was really having to sort of get to a location and let the atmosphere of the place sink into me through like osmosis almost, and let the things really sort of like draw themselves towards me that were interesting to me, that sparked my interest, that sparked my emotions, and that I felt would make good photos and tell good stories. And that became the sort of tenet of how I was teaching on that workshop. And actually it's something that's stuck with me ever since. Because when we go away and when we shoot, like we're quite often we get buoyed up by these emotions, right? We're in some fantastic location. We've got the adrenaline running because we're excited to shoot. You know, we're perhaps with photographic buddies and we're all nerding out about gear. You know, whatever it is. But we have these heightened emotions, and so we shoot, thinking that everything is going to be as exciting to the next person that sees those images as it is to us on that day, not realizing that a lot of the excitement that we're feeling is just the excitement of the day. It's got nothing to do with the subject matter at all. And so I just had this totally different way of approaching it, because I had to really pull out of the scene what it was that was going to be emotionally affecting me in some way. And I think actually because I did that, the photos that I took in Chania in Crete were the best of that trip. Like, they absolutely were. And I found that super fascinating. I really did, because it taught me a valuable lesson about creativity, which is that you have to get rid of all the white noise about the sort of baseline emotions that you feel about being in a place or the subject matter at hand, right? So, for example, you're shooting a portrait. It might be of your wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, somebody you love, right? And so you're going to have warm feelings, hopefully, towards that person. hopefully you'd have warm feelings towards the sort of significant other in your life. And so therefore you will be feeling warm towards those pictures. But it doesn't mean to say that the pictures are any good. It doesn't mean to say that somebody that looked at that portrait of a just random human that didn't know them would get the same emotional connection, right? It's obvious when you think about it. So when you are forced to then detune all of the stuff that is like subjective from that point of view, and start focusing on what the story is, what's the universal story that anybody can relate to and find their own subjectivity out of, then you get a picture. So in the case of the portrait, you know, you're looking for some expression on someone's face. You know, you're looking for some connection with the eyes, some gesture that draws you in, that gives you that extra something. You know, gives you something that anybody can connect and go, yeah, I get that. I've seen that look in people's eyes, and it's something that's connecting. You know, rather than it being a sort of out to lunch look, you know, with sort of staring glumly into space or doing a duck-faced pout. So, like, these are all super interesting things to me, and it's really helped me as a photographer to pull myself out of that creative funk, because I then started to kind of work on that and pull it apart. And it's been a long process. That's part of the reason why I haven't been on this channel for a year. It's like I've really struggled with this. Like, it's been the longest. I've had periods like this in the past where I haven't felt like shooting, but this has been the longest period by far when I've really struggled. Really struggled. And it was like, it was only, I then did another workshop sort of later in the year that it was like a 3-week thing. We had like different workshops back to back and traveling all over Greece. And it was only by then that I really sort of really found my photographic stride again. It was a long process. Anyway, so that's that. And what I wanted to talk to then was kind of like a segue into, you know, what I've been doing really over the last 12 months, you know, since I've been on this channel. And a lot of it has been building up these photography workshops in Greece. And so the Framed Planet website has been relaunched. It's now the home of my travel photography. Travel photography is something that I want to focus on really, you know, exclusively, more or less exclusively. Certainly there's the main thrust of what I do. And the reason for that is twofold. One, because I always wanted my camera to be my passport to interesting places, cool people, interesting and fun experiences, you know, around the world. I never wanted to kind of get stuck doing, you know, doing things like locally around here where I live in the UK. I always wanted to travel around and see the world. And it felt like the camera was this little black box that gave me permission to do whatever I wanted in life. But I was getting a little bit, I felt sidetracked away from that, the thing that got me into photography in the first place. And I was getting, you know, a lot of, you know, corporate work and wedding work and portrait work and event work and that kind of stuff, which is like super good, you know, and it's what helped build my business. But it wasn't something that I wanted to do in my career forever. I wanted to make that next sort of move for me personally to keep the interest going in what I do. And so doing the travel photography and is something that enables me to do what I do best, which is like non-specialist photography. Some people are like really good specialists. You know, you look at Peter Hurley, for example, like he's the master of the headshot, right? It's a white background, all the lighting's the same, and his thing is like he does one thing, he does it super well. I've never been like that. You know, I've always liked to shoot landscapes, street, portraiture, you know, events, music. I mean, anything really, like whatever excites me, whatever gets my juices flowing. And so travel photography is really good for that because it's something different every day. You know, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's a cityscape, sometimes it's, you know, interesting cultural things that are going on. There's always something new and interesting. And the other thing that I absolutely love, and I've been doing more and more as I've gone on, as I've found my stride with it, is teaching. And I love to transfer the knowledge and the excitement that I feel about photography to you guys and to people that come along and do these workshops. You know, I've been teaching here in Cambridge in the UK, doing you know, adult education courses in photography, in Photoshop. You know, so that you get the whole sort of package of you know, how to, you know, elevate your skills to the next level. And I love that. Like that's so rewarding for me to see the look in someone's eyes when they get something cool about photography that they didn't understand before. And when that light bulb goes on and they're able to make a kind of picture that they couldn't make before, that's just so cool to me. So doing the photography workshops is really where I'm heading with my career. It's what I focused on for most of the back end of last year after I got back from this big trip, and it's something that I'm going to be doing with Chrissy Cousio from Chrissy's Greece for the Greek workshops moving forward. We've got 5, I think, booked for now, between now and the end of the year, so you can go to frameplanet.com and look at those. And me and Chrissy are going to be at the photography show in Birmingham in the NEC from 17th to the 20th of March. So you can come along, you can meet us. We're going to be running photography mini workshops every day, one at 11 a.m, one at 3 p.m, all the way throughout the show. So you can get a chance to not only meet us and look at the different destinations that we do, but you can also get a flavour of some of the things that you might want to sort of know when you're going to go and do some travel photography of your own and take your work from holiday snaps to great travel photography. So that's the NEC in Birmingham. We're on stand G26. So come along stand G26 between the 17th and 20th of March, and you can come and say hello and find out more about what we do. So it'd be great to see you guys all over there. So as always, please subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. See ya.